Back in the olden days, each platform used to have their own games. They had a certain style at which they absolutely excelled, but as time went on and processing power just pretty much went up the wazoo, you started getting the ability to play pretty much every game from every console on a PC. So that brings us the very important question. Are some console games actually better played on PCs? I mean, from the ones that are actually available to play on PCs, not the ones that are never going to be ported or emulated. So that's why this is the top 7 console games that are better on PC. Yes, games developed initially for a console that were then playable on PC in much better fashion. Now I would make a joke about The Witcher 2, because the PC version was launched without support for other aspect resolutions than 16:9, and they basically just made a console game, and it took them about a year to make a PC game. I also joke about X Rebirth, but that thing wasn't playable on anything. So with that said, let's begin with number 7, the GTA games. Now, it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint which one, because starting from 3 all the way up to 5, they're all better played on PC. Sure, you do get probably more hackers in GTA Online, but that's besides the point. It's better played on PC for one main reason: mods. And before you say, well, if I want to mod GTA 5, I'm gonna need a rig that's gonna cost me like $4,000. Well, no, it's not just GTA 5. It is even GTA San Andreas, which can be basically run on a toaster right now. It is still a very popular game because of the modding community, because they have built upon it a multiplayer mode that is actually putting GTA Online to shame in pretty much every way possible. And yeah, you do have the graphics mods for GTA 4 and for GTA 5, which make it look a hell of a lot better, though that does come with a performance hit if you don't have a powerful enough PC. It's the mods that compensate for the fact that you don't have any more single player DLC, any more continuation of something you can do by yourself alone without somebody constantly blowing up your car because they're 12 and they realize this online mode was made just for griefing and absolutely nothing actually fun. Number 6. Fighting games. Now this may be a bit vague and some of you are probably going to disagree with me, but hear me out. Fighting games, Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, they're better played on a PC, and I'm going to tell you why. It's quite simple. It's one solitary reason. The keyboard is a much better input device for fighting games than a gamepad, because gamepads, especially the Xbox One, has a D-pad that is not suited for this kind of game. The thumbstick as well is not suited for this kind of game. The keyboard, however, is. The keyboard gives you better, faster, and more accurate control than a gamepad ever could for this kind of game. That is undeniable. The only thing better than a keyboard is an actual fighting stick. The ones with joysticks specifically made for fighting games and the buttons that are specifically made for fighting games. Those have no rival. But they don't come standard with consoles, do they? And you can pretty much just hook them up to a PC as well, so the argument is kind of moot. You could kind of also sort of hook up a keyboard to a console, depending on if it's the week where the developer is supporting keyboards on their game or not. But you can always be sure they'll be supported on the PC. And if you're worried that you can't play versus mode with another person on the same keyboard, well, you don't have to be, because now we have N-key rollovers, so you can pretty much slam your heads, both of you, into the keyboard and both the inputs will register. Again, it's kind of a crazy way to play Street Fighter, but it works in Tekken. Number 5. Any spectacle fighter. You're probably noticing a bit of a theme to this video, aren't you? Fun fact, it started out a bit more concise, then it got a bit vague, then I tried to make it a bit more concise by consulting with my friends, and then it became what it is now. Now, why spectacle fighters? One reason: frame rate. On PC, you can have all the frame rate. You can have it in any way you want to. You can lock it at 60, you can pump it to 75, you can break the entire game by setting the frame rate to 240 or something and just having the damage being dealt to you be amplified in ways that the developers never dreamed of, because the game was initially meant to run at 30, which is not how you would want to play a spectacle fighter, especially one made by Platinum Games. You know, those games that are so goddamn amazing, they are eye-bogglingly, mind-blowingly, superbly spectacular and stupendous that you just want to see every frame of animation unfold before you in a poetry of motion and elegance, not crammed 30 apiece into a second. That's a crime. Number 4. Basically any old game. One of the main advantages of a PC is the fact that the x86 CPU is backwards compatible with every iteration it ever had up until, what was it, 1978? Somewhere around there. And because of this, it means that the x86 instruction set is very well known and it's easier to work with than the Cell Broadband processor was, even though that was a great CPU. It was absolutely fantastic, no pain to work with. So pretty much every game that could run once on a PC can still be made to run on that PC or any other PC with the right software. Sometimes it's an operating system that has the right amount of bits, sometimes it's an emulator, and those emulators can be used to run, well, anything. Did your PS2 explode? No biggie, load up an emulator, get your discs, put them in a PC, realize you don't have a disk drive because it's the future, download them all since you already own them, and play them again. Only now you have things like the ability to crank up the detail, higher resolution, anti-aliasing, the ability to save whenever you want to, not when the developer decided, oh, we should have this boss have 15 transformations and not let you go to the toilet. Well, you don't get to decide this anymore, do you? People can save where they want to. They are free to empty their bowels at their leisure, not when you decide it is time. Also, there's the fact that a lot of older games are not compatible with today's consoles, even though some of them do have emulation support, so you can pretty much play them on PC with no worries. It's something everybody does. Nintendo put a ROM from the internet, not their own ROM, of Super Mario Bros. And what was it? The Wii Store, or was it on the NES Classic? Somewhere around there. It's important that they did, and that we not forget about it. Because even Nintendo decided that, you know what, emulators are okay. Number 3. Any shooter. Any. Like, doesn't matter which one it is. You can play them better on a PC for one simple reason. Aiming is better. Console shooters have a very high degree of auto-aim, and that often takes a bit out of the pleasure of actually playing it, because pretty much doesn't matter if you miss by a millimeter or a mile, you're gonna hit anyway. The degree of complexity that goes into designing the auto-aim is just insane. I mean, there's regions of the player characters in multiplayer that activate different settings for auto-aim. For example, you don't have necessarily an automatic snap to head, but you do have something similar where you have a lot more leniency when it comes to aiming around the head region. On a PC though, you don't have that. You have to aim by yourself. You have to do the work. You have to show that you have a bit more skill, more refinement. But if you're playing a emulated version of those kinds of games, well, then you can pretty much play them with a keyboard. You don't have to bother with the mouse. I'm not gonna lie to you, I played GoldenEye with just a keyboard. It was fantastically easy to play. It had less aiming than Doom did, and Doom had no actual aiming. You pointed yourself at an enemy and you killed them. That's how it goes. Same thing for GoldenEye. Nice game though, very nice game. Number 2, Dark Souls. Now, I know what you're gonna say. The PC version of Dark Souls was hot garbage. It is, among other reasons, one of my motivations for not liking the series as much as everybody else does. Though I did pick up the second one in the last Steam sale, and I'm probably gonna play it with a racing wheel on live stream soon, because I can. Now, the reason that these games are better played on PC is, well, you know, better frame rate. I mean, provided that it's unlocked by the developer, or by Durante, also known as the man responsible for the Dark Souls series selling anything on PC. Like, they should have paid him $1 million. And when you have a better frame rate, it's kind of like in the spectacle fighter situation. Things get better, controls are more responsive, in a game where dodge rolling at the absolute correct time to take advantage of that invulnerability frame as paramount to success at higher levels, you kinda need all the accuracy you can get. Also, let's face it, Dark Souls 1 look kinda like mud, so maybe some better textures won't hurt either. So it's better performance, more precise control, controls because you can hook up a gamepad to a PC though. Having played Severance the Blade of Darkness perfectly with a mouse and keyboard, I don't see why this series would be so special as to not be playable perfectly with them. I mean, that one even had combos that you had to memorize and do and combat, and also kind of had better weapon physics. They wouldn't go through walls. But that's a whole other matter. The important thing is that even Dark Souls is better played on PC. Okay, what I'm actually saying is they should port Bloodborne to PC because Bloodborne kinda looks better. And number one is not Diablo 3. And by this I mean that anything apart from Diablo 3 is basically better played on a PC. Even if the PC version is currently an unplayable mess and a piece of junk. I know I'm exaggerating a bit, but the PC version of Metal Gear Solid 2 was not all that great. They bound aiming to the keyboard, even though you could use the mouse to move the inventory around. You can still emulate the original version and set whatever control you want. But Diablo 3 is a special case. Diablo 3 was supposed to be a PC game. It actually became a platform for angering people and making buckets of cash. And the PC version has certain disadvantages, like you can't play it offline or with friends offline or enjoy it offline. But you know what you can do offline on a console? Play Diablo 3 with friends right beside you. Sure, it doesn't have LAN, but you can play it with 4 people at the same time on the same screen, which is something that you can do on a PC. And because it's offline, you could probably mod the thing to be a bit less annoying when it comes to breaking the absolute crap out of any sense of immersion due to its stupendously, horribly thought out method of calculating damage based on weapon damage, even for abilities. I will never let that go. Having seen what other game developers have gone through to make their worlds, their games believable, I will never let that go. So closes this top 7 of things you're probably gonna say in the comments are horrible. I don't entirely disagree with you. I'm gonna see you again next time with a brand new top 7 that's probably gonna be better. Or not. I don't know yet. Goodbye.